Marcus Whitmore stood at a cash register in Miami, trying to buy his son a $12 book. When the card reader beeped, "Declined," he saw something in his son's eyes that broke him completely. What he did in the 72 hours after that moment would either destroy what was left of his life or prove that 47 isn't too late to become someone completely different. The Miami sun beat down mercilessly on the parking lot of Tech World Electronics, turning Marcus Whitmore's navy blue polo shirt into a second skin. At 47, he had learned to accept many things: the persistent ache in his lower back, the grey threading through his dark hair, the way his ex-wife Jennifer looked through him rather than at him during Tyler's pickup exchanges. But acceptance did not mean peace. "Hey, Marcus, you got a customer at Register 3, shouted Kevin, the 23-year-old assistant manager who somehow outranked him despite knowing less about electronics than Marcus had forgotten. Marcus wiped the sweat from his forehead and headed inside, the blast of air conditioning offering momentary relief. The customer, a woman in her 60s clutching a tablet box, wore the expression of someone about to make his day difficult. "This tablet," she began, waving the box like evidence at a trial, "stopped working after 2 days. 2 days. Marcus put on his customer service smile, the one that never quite reached his eyes anymore. "I'm so sorry to hear that, Mom. Let me see what we can do." 40 minutes later, after explaining store policy 3 times, calling Kevin over twice, and ultimately processing a return that would count against his already dismal monthly numbers, Marcus retreated to the break room. His phone showed 2:47 p.m. In 3 hours and 13 minutes he would clock out. In 3 hours and 14 minutes he would sit in Miami traffic on I-95. In 4 hours, if he was lucky, he would collapse on his couch in his studio apartment in Little Havana and pretend to watch whatever was on TV. His phone buzzed. A text from Jennifer. "Tyler wants to know if you're still taking him out this Saturday. He's been asking." Marcus stared at the message, his chest tightening. This Saturday would be special. Tyler had mentioned wanting to check out the new gaming store at Bayside Marketplace, maybe grab food, just hang out. Father and son. Normal things that felt increasingly precious in their limited weekends together. He typed back, "Absolutely, tell him I'm counting on it." The truth was simpler and harder. Marcus was counting on a lot of things. He was counting on his paycheck clearing before his rent check hit. He was counting on his 2008 Honda Civic, lasting another 6 months. He was counting on Tyler not asking too many questions about why they always split the cheapest meals or why Dad's apartment did not have a second bedroom. "Whitmore, Register 4. Kevin's voice shattered his thoughts. Marcus hauled himself up, ignoring the protest in his knees, back to the floor, back to the smile, back to explaining warranty plans and storage capacities to people who would forget his face before they reached their cars. That evening, Marcus sat in his apartment with a microwave burrito and a calculator. The bills spread across his small kitchen table told a story he had read too many times before. Rent, $200. Car insurance, $150. Car payment on the Civic he still owed money on, $180. Child support, $600. Phone, $70. Electricity, especially brutal in Miami summer, $130. Groceries, if he was creative, $200. Gas, $120. The numbers did not lie, but they did not leave much room for truth either. His take-home pay, after taxes, averaged around $2,400 a month. The math was simple and suffocating. $2,650 going out, $2,400 coming in. He had been robbing Peter to pay Paul for so long that Peter and Paul had both filed restraint orders. His credit cards, once emergency lifelines, now hung around his neck like anchors. The minimums alone ate $180 a month, and the balances only grew. The phone calls from collection agencies had become white noise, a soundtrack to his life that he had learned to tune out. Marcus tossed the calculator aside and rubbed his eyes. Tomorrow was Friday, then Saturday with Tyler. He had been setting aside $10 here, $15 there, scraping together enough to give his son a decent day. Nothing fancy, just normal. Maybe $70 would do it. Gaming store lunch, maybe ice cream at Azucar in Little Havana on the way back. Tyler loved their Abuela Maria flavor. His phone buzzed again. A reminder. Car insurance payment due in 3 days. Marcus looked at the notification, then at the bills on the table, then at the photo on his phone's lock screen. Tyler grinning at the beach last year, sun-bleached hair and gap-toothed smile, holding up a shell he had found, before the divorce got ugly. Before Jennifer started dating that lawyer Robert, who drove a Tesla and probably had never eaten a microwave burrito in his life. "It'll work out," Marcus said to the empty apartment. "It always does." The lie felt familiar in his mouth, comfortable as an old shoe. He had been telling himself variations of it for 3 years now, ever since the divorce, the move to the studio, the realization that starting over at 44 was less like a fresh beginning and more like trying to rebuild a house during a hurricane. He stacked the bills, put them in the drawer where he kept all the problems he would deal with later, and turned on the TV. Some sitcom was playing, the laugh track telling him when things were funny. Marcus watched without seeing, the flickering light painting shadows on his walls. Saturday, he thought. Just make Saturday good. That's all that matters. Outside, Miami hummed with its usual chaos, traffic, music, life happening at full volume. Inside apartment 3C, Marcus Whitmore sat in the glow of his television, a tired salesman counting down to a weekend that would change everything, though he did not know it yet. The universe, after all, has a funny way of answering prayers you did not know you were making. Saturday morning arrived with the kind of perfect Miami weather that belonged on postcards. Marcus picked up Tyler at 9 sharp from Jennifer's house in Coral Gables, a neighborhood that reminded him of everything he used to afford. "Hey, Dad!" Tyler bounded down the driveway, his 12-year-old energy undimmed by the early hour. He wore a faded Captain America shirt and cargo shorts, his brown hair sticking up in 3 different directions. "Hey, buddy!" Marcus pulled him into a hug, breathing in the scent of his son's coconut shampoo. "Ready for an adventure?" "You know it. Can we hit that new gaming store first? They have the new Battle Legends expansion." Marcus's smile held steady, even as his stomach tightened. The expansion pack was probably $40. He had $73 in his wallet and $52 in his checking account. "We'll see what they have, maybe check out some other stuff too." The drive to Bayside Marketplace took 20 minutes, Tyler filling every second with chatter about school, his friend Danny's birthday party next month, and some YouTube video about a guy who built a gaming PC out of old parts. Marcus listened, really listened, storing away these moments like treasure. They parked in the lot on Biscayne Boulevard, and Marcus felt the familiar weight of quarters in his pocket. $5 for parking, 68 left. Bayside Marketplace buzzed with Saturday crowds, tourists wearing I Heart Miami shirts, locals grabbing coffee, street performers setting up near the waterfront. The smell of Cuban coffee and empanadas drifted from the food court, making Marcus's stomach growl. He had skipped breakfast to save the appetite for splitting lunch with Tyler. "There it is!" Tyler pointed to Game Zone, the new store wedged between a sunglasses kiosk and a shop selling airbrushed T-shirts. Inside, the store exploded with color and sound. Displays showcased the latest consoles, walls of games, collectible figures, and accessories that cost more than Marcus's monthly electricity bill. Tyler made a beeline for the Battle Legends section. "Dad, look! They have the Shadow Realm expansion. It's only $35. Only, Marcus thought. That word carrying different weight depending on which side of the register you stood. "That's cool, bud. Hey, why don't we walk around first? Check out everything?" They spent 30 minutes browsing. Tyler showed Marcus every new release, explaining game mechanics and storylines with the enthusiasm of someone describing the cure for cancer. Marcus nodded, asked questions, watched his son's face light up with each new discovery. Finally, Tyler held up a strategy guide. "What about this one? It's only $12 and it would help me beat the level I'm stuck on." $12. Marcus could do $12. "Sure thing, champ. Let's grab it." At the register, Tyler clutched the guide like it was made of gold. The cashier, a kid barely older than Tyler with blue hair and multiple ear piercings, scanned the item. $12.47 with tax. Marcus pulled out his wallet, extracting his debit card. The one connected to the checking account with $52, plenty for a $12 purchase. He swiped the card. The terminal beeped. Red letters appeared. "Declined." "Huh," Marcus said, his voice steady despite his heart suddenly trying to escape his chest. "That's weird. Try it again." The cashier swiped it again. Declined. "Do you have another card?" the cashier asked, already sounding bored. Tyler looked up at his father. Just looked. No judgment yet, just curiosity. Marcus pulled out his Visa, the one with a $1,700 balance against a $2,000 limit. He had been saving this space for emergencies. Apparently, this qualified. He handed it over. The cashier swiped. The terminal thought about it. Marcus could feel Tyler's eyes on him, could feel the universe holding its breath. Declined. "Sir, do you have cash?" The cashier's voice now carried a hint of impatience. A line was forming behind them. Marcus's face burned. He pulled out his wallet, counting bills, 3 20s, a 10, and 3 1s. $73 that was supposed to cover lunch, maybe ice cream, maybe something else if Tyler asked. "Yeah, here." He handed over a 20. The cashier made change. Marcus pocketed the coins and bills mechanically, not counting, not caring. Tyler took the bag, quiet now. They walked out of the store, and Marcus wanted the ground to swallow him whole, not because of the declined cards. Those had become regular enough, but because Tyler had seen it. His son had watched his father fail at buying a $12 book. "Dad?" Tyler's voice was small. "Are you okay?" Marcus stopped walking. They stood near the waterfront, boats bobbing in the marina, tourists laughing and taking selfies. Normal people doing normal things with money that did not disappear like smoke. "Yeah, bud, just some mix-up with the bank. You know how that stuff is." But Tyler was 12, not stupid. His eyes held something Marcus had hoped never to see there. Worry, not for himself but for his father. "We don't have to get lunch," Tyler said quietly. "I'm not really that hungry anyway." Something inside Marcus cracked. Maybe it was pride, which he thought he had lost years ago. Maybe it was hope, which he had been running on fumes of for months. Maybe it was just the accumulated weight of every declined card, every overdue notice, every apologetic smile he had given his son when they could not afford the thing other kids got without thinking. "No," Marcus said, his voice rough. "We're getting lunch. Come on." They found a food court vendor selling empanadas, 2 for $5. Marcus got 4, 2 for each of them, and 2 bottles of water. Another $7 gone. He still had enough for ice cream. Barely. They sat at a table overlooking the water. Tyler ate quietly, the strategy guide sitting between them like evidence. "This is nice," Tyler said, trying. "The empanadas are really good." "Yeah," Marcus agreed. "They are." But they both knew the truth. The moment in Game Zone hung between them, unspoken but loud as thunder. Marcus had been humiliated before. The divorce, the downsize to the studio, the pitying looks from Jennifer's family. But this was different. This was his son learning that Dad was broke. Not struggling, not having a tough month, broke. After they finished eating, they walked along the waterfront. Tyler pointed out boats, made jokes, worked so hard to pretend everything was normal that it broke Marcus's heart all over again. "Dad?" Tyler said as they headed back to the car. "You know I don't need a lot of stuff, right? I'm happy just hanging out." Marcus stopped, looking down at his son. At 12 years old, Tyler should be thinking about games and friends and what he wanted to be when he grew up. He should not be trying to make his father feel better about being poor. "I know, buddy," Marcus said, pulling him close. "I know." The drive back to Jennifer's house was quieter. Tyler dozed off, the strategy guide on his lap. Marcus drove on autopilot, his mind replaying the moment over and over. The declined message, the cashier's impatience, the people in line behind them, Tyler's worried face. When they pulled up to Jennifer's house, Robert's Tesla sat in the driveway. Of course it did. Tyler woke up, groggy. "Thanks for today, Dad. I had fun." "Me too, champ. See you in 2 weeks?" "Yeah. Love you." "Love you too." Marcus watched Tyler walk to the door, strategy guide under his arm, the $12 purchase that cost everything. Jennifer opened the door, Robert visible behind her, probably about to suggest dinner at some restaurant where the appetizers cost what Marcus spent on groceries. Marcus drove back to his studio apartment, parked the Civic, and climbed the stairs to 3C. Inside, he stood in the middle of his small space, still seeing Tyler's face, still hearing the declined beep. He looked around at his life, the sagging couch from Goodwill, the TV older than his son, the kitchen table where bills went to die. At 47, he had a degree in business administration he had never used, 15 years in retail sales, and enough debt to drown a small country. Something inside him, already cracked, finally shattered. Marcus Whitmore sat down on his couch and for the first time in 3 years allowed himself to truly feel how completely, utterly lost he was. The sun set over Miami, painting the sky in colors too beautiful for how he felt. But in that darkness, in that moment of total defeat, something else stirred, something that had been dormant for years. It was not hope, not yet. It was something sharper, harder. It was the understanding that nothing would change unless he changed it, that Tyler was watching, that this moment, this horrible, humiliating moment, had to mean something, or he would die, having meant nothing. Sunday morning arrived with Marcus staring at his ceiling, having barely slept. His phone showed 5:47 a.m. Outside, Miami was still dark, the city enjoying its last moments of quiet before the chaos began. He thought about calling in sick to TechWorld. Kevin would be annoyed, but Kevin was always annoyed. The thought of standing behind that register, smiling at customers, explaining warranty plans while his own life crumbled felt impossible. But rent did not care about feelings. Neither did child support. Marcus dragged himself out of bed, showered in water that never quite got hot enough, and put on his navy polo. In the mirror, he barely recognized the man staring back. When had the bags under his eyes gotten so dark? When had his shoulders started curving forward like he was carrying invisible weight? At TechWorld, the day dragged. Every customer seemed to need extra help. Every transaction took twice as long. During his lunch break, Marcus sat in his Civic with a gas station sandwich and did something he had been avoiding. He actually looked at his situation. He pulled out his phone and opened a notes app. Time for brutal honesty. Skills he had. 15 years in electronics sales. Knowledge of computers, phones, tablets, gaming systems, basic repair knowledge from watching the tech guys at work, people skills when he could muster them, a business degree collecting dust. Assets, a 2008 Honda Civic worth maybe $3,000 if he was lucky, a laptop from 2016 that still worked, a bunch of old electronics in his closet that he kept meaning to throw away, and $73 in various pockets and his wallet, liabilities, everything else. Marcus sat there, sandwich forgotten, staring at the list. It looked pathetic written out like that. But it was something. It was more than the nothing he had felt yesterday. An idea flickered. Stupid, probably. But it flickered. Those old electronics in his closet. The smartphone he had replaced 2 years ago. The tablet Jennifer had given him before the divorce that he never used. That old gaming console Tyler had outgrown. Maybe someone would buy them. He had heard people talking about selling stuff online, apps where you could list things. It sounded complicated, probably was not worth the effort for a few dollars. But then again, a few dollars was a few dollars. That evening after his shift, Marcus went home and opened his closet. Boxes and bags he had not touched in years. He pulled everything out, making a pile on his floor. The old iPhone 6, cracked screen but functional. The tablet, still in decent shape. The PlayStation 3 with a handful of games, an old laptop that was slow but worked, some cables and chargers he had accumulated. He took photos with his current phone, trying to make them look decent despite the bad lighting. Then he downloaded an app called OfferUp and started listing items. iPhone 6, cracked screen, works perfectly, $40. Samsung tablet, like new, $60. PlayStation 3 with 5 games, $80. He stared at the listings, feeling foolish. Who would buy this junk? But he hit post anyway because what did he have to lose except nothing, which he already had plenty of. Monday crawled by. Tuesday too. Marcus checked his phone obsessively between customers, expecting nothing. Wednesday morning, a notification. Someone wants to buy your iPhone. Marcus's heart jumped. A guy named David messaged, "Will you take $30? Marcus wanted to say no, hold out for $40, but $30 was $30 more than he had. $35 and you got a deal. Done. Can you meet at the Starbucks on Calle Ocho tonight at 6? That evening, Marcus sat at the Starbucks, the iPhone in a small box, feeling ridiculous. This was what his life had become, selling his old junk in coffee shops. David showed up, a college kid with headphones around his neck. He checked the phone, nodded, and handed over cash, $35. Thanks, man. My phone died, and I am broke until financial aid comes through. I know the feeling, Marcus said, pocketing the money. Walking back to his car, Marcus looked at the bills. It was not much, but it was something he had done, something he had made happen. Not his boss, not a paycheck. Him. Over the next week, he sold the tablet for $55 after negotiating. The PlayStation went for $70. The old laptop took longer, but finally sold for $45. Marcus stared at the cash in his hand. $205 from stuff he had thought was worthless. Friday night, instead of collapsing on his couch, Marcus stayed up researching. If people would buy his old electronics, maybe they would buy other people's old electronics too. He could buy broken stuff cheap, fix it, sell it for more. The idea was simple, probably too simple, but something in his chest, that thing that had cracked open in the darkness, pushed him forward. He found a video on YouTube, how to fix a cracked iPhone screen, then another, replacing a PlayStation controller, another, basic electronics repair for beginners. Marcus watched until his eyes burned. He took notes. He made lists. For the first time in years, he felt something other than tired. Saturday, he took his $205 to a pawn shop in Hialeah. The place smelled like old leather and broken dreams, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. Behind the counter, a guy with a thick Cuban accent and arms covered in tattoos looked up from his phone. "Help you? What broken electronics do you have?" The guy raised an eyebrow. "Broken? Yeah, phones, tablets, whatever. Stuff that does not work." The guy disappeared into the back and returned with a box. "These came in. People wanted to pawn them, but they do not work, so I gave them nothing. You want them? I will sell the whole box for $50. Marcus looked inside. 3 iPhones with cracked screens, 2 tablets, a Nintendo Switch with a broken screen. All garbage to most people. $40, Marcus said, surprising himself. $45. Deal. Walking out with the box felt like walking out with treasure. He had just spent nearly a quarter of his money on broken electronics. Jennifer would say he had lost his mind. Kevin would laugh. Even Tyler might look at him funny. But Marcus felt something he had not felt in years. Curiosity. Maybe this would work. Maybe it would not. But at least he was trying something. Back at his apartment, Marcus cleared his kitchen table and laid everything out. He pulled up YouTube videos on his laptop. He started with the easiest iPhone, the one with just a cracked screen. 3 hours later, his fingers hurt, his eyes burned, and the phone still did not work. "Come on," he muttered, trying again. Another hour. He consulted 5 different videos, tried 3 different approaches. Finally, at 1:23 a.m., the screen flickered to life. Marcus stared at it. This broken thing he had made whole. It was just a phone, just a cracked screen replaced with a $20 part he had ordered on Amazon. But sitting in his dim apartment, holding proof that he could fix something, Marcus felt tears prick his eyes. He was 47 years old, a divorced retail worker with more debt than future, but he had just fixed a phone. It was not much, but it was more than yesterday. And maybe, just maybe, tomorrow could be more than today. Marcus set the phone down gently and looked at the other broken devices waiting. His back ached. His head throbbed. His shift at Tech World started in 7 hours. But for the first time in years, Marcus Whitmore smiled a real smile. The universe had broken him. Now he was learning to fix things, starting with himself. 3 weeks into his new side hustle, Marcus learned that success was not a straight line. It was more like a roller coaster designed by someone who hated him personally. The iPhone he fixed sold for $120. After the $45 box cost and $20 in parts, he cleared $55 profit. Not bad for 4 hours of work at 1 a.m. Encouraged, he tackled the tablets. One had a simple charging port issue. Fixed it in an hour, sold it for $80. The other had water damage and refused to cooperate despite 3 nights of trying. He eventually listed it for parts and got $15. The Nintendo Switch seemed promising until he realized the screen replacement cost $90, and he could only sell the fixed unit for $140. After fees, barely worth it. He did it anyway because Tyler had mentioned wanting a Switch, and Marcus thought maybe, just maybe, one day he could afford to buy him one new. The math was simple but exhausting. Buy broken, fix broken, sell fixed, repeat. Every evening after his shift at Tech World, Marcus came home and worked until midnight or later. His apartment became a workshop, his kitchen table covered in tiny screws, tools, and replacement parts ordered from sketchy websites with names like Phone Parts for You. His body protested. At 47, staying up until 2 a.m. squinting at circuit boards was not what his back had signed up for. He started keeping ibuprofen in his car, his apartment, and his work locker. But slowly, incredibly slowly, his bank account grew. An extra 100 here, 70 there. He paid his car insurance on time for the first time in 6 months. He bought groceries without counting every item. He even managed to put $50 in savings, a number so small it would make financial advisors weep, but felt like $1 million to him. Kevin noticed something was different. "Whitmore, you look terrible," he said during a shift. "You sick or something?" "Just not sleeping great," Marcus replied, which was not a lie. "Well, try to look more alive. You are scaring customers." Marcus bit back a response about what he would like to tell Kevin and his asymmetrical haircut. He needed this job. At least for now. The 4th week brought his first real disaster. A guy on OfferUp sold him an iPhone 11 with just a cracked back glass for $60. Marcus, confident now, bought it sight unseen. When it arrived via mail, the phone had more problems than a daytime talk show. The back was cracked, sure, but the camera did not work. The battery was shot, and something inside rattled ominously when he shook it. He spent $80 on parts trying to fix it. 3 sleepless nights later, it still did not work right. The camera remained dead. He finally sold it for parts for $30, net loss, $110, and a week of his life he would never get back. Marcus sat in his apartment that night, staring at the broken iPhone, and felt the familiar weight of failure settling back on his shoulders. Maybe this whole thing was stupid. Maybe he should just accept his lot. Retail worker forever, broke forever, disappointing Tyler forever. His phone buzzed. A text from Tyler. "Hey Dad, how are you? Miss you." Marcus looked at the message, then at the broken phone, then at the small notebook where he tracked his profits. Despite the iPhone 11 disaster, he was still up $340 over a month. Not life-changing money, but it was money he had made. Money that came from his effort, his learning, his refusal to quit. He texted back, "Miss you too, buddy. 2 more days until our weekend." This Saturday, Marcus had already planned it out. They would go to Jungle Island, the wildlife park Tyler had been asking about for months. $20 admission for Tyler, $25 for himself. Lunch, maybe $50. He could afford it now, barely, but genuinely. The next day at Tech World, something interesting happened. A woman came in with a cracked iPad, asked about repairs. The store charged $150 for the service. "That seems like a lot," she said. Marcus was not supposed to do this, was probably against some company policy buried in paperwork he had signed years ago, but he was tired of playing it safe. Safe had gotten him nowhere. "I could fix it for $80, he said quietly. "But not here. I do repairs on the side." The woman looked at him surprised. "Really? Really? I can give you my number." She pulled out her phone. Marcus wrote his number on a piece of receipt paper, his heart pounding. Kevin was in the back. If he found out, there would be consequences. But Marcus was done being afraid of consequences. Life was consequences, whether you played it safe or not. "I will text you," the woman said. That evening, she did. Marcus met her at a Panera Bread in Coconut Grove, fixed her iPad screen in the parking lot using a toolkit he now carried everywhere. $40 in parts, $80 payment, $40 in profit for 90 minutes of work. More importantly, she took a photo of her fixed iPad and posted it on her Facebook with his number. "This guy Marcus fixed my iPad for half what the store wanted. Highly recommend." Marcus's phone started ringing. Not constantly, not enough to quit his day job, but enough that he started scheduling repairs during his lunch breaks, after work. On weekends, Tyler was with Jennifer. An iPhone here, a tablet there, a laptop that just needed a memory upgrade, a gaming console with a stuck disk drive. Word spread slowly but surely through Miami's network of people who needed electronics fixed but could not afford the big stores. Marcus became the guy, the cheap repair guy, the one who met you at Starbucks or McDonald's parking lots, fixed your device while you watched, charged half what anyone else did. He was exhausted. Some mornings he woke up and could not remember if he had actually slept or just closed his eyes for a few minutes. His back hurt constantly. His fingers had new scars from slipping screwdrivers and sharp components. His eyes needed reading glasses he could not afford yet. But his bank account showed $812. In 6 weeks, he had made more on the side than he made in a month at Tech World. Saturday came. Marcus picked up Tyler, and they went to Jungle Island. They watched the parrots, laughed at the lemurs, took photos in front of the flamingos. They ate overpriced hot dogs and drank lemonade, and Marcus paid for all of it, without checking his account balance first. "This is awesome, Dad," Tyler said, watching a macaw show. "Thanks for bringing me." "Of course, buddy, anytime." Tyler looked at him, really looked. "Dad, you seem different, happier or something." Marcus smiled. "Yeah, maybe I am." "Good. You deserve to be happy." At 12 years old, Tyler should not have to think about whether his father deserved happiness. But the comment hit Marcus in the chest, hard and true. Maybe he did deserve it. Maybe everyone did. But you had to fight for it. That night, dropping Tyler back at Jennifer's, Marcus saw Robert's Tesla again. But this time it did not feel like a judgment. It was just a car. An expensive one, sure, but just a car. Robert had his path. Marcus had his. And his path, surprisingly, was starting to lead somewhere. Back in his apartment, Marcus sat down with his notebook. $812 saved. He was still in debt. Still behind on everything. Still one emergency away from catastrophe. But he was moving forward. Slowly, painfully, but forward. His phone buzzed. Another repair request. Marcus smiled and replied, "I can meet you tomorrow at noon. Where works for you?" At 47, he was still a tired salesman. Still broke, technically. Still fighting. But he was no longer broken. 2 months into his side business, Marcus faced a problem he never thought he would have. Too much work. His phone rang constantly. Cracked screens, dead batteries, water damage, software issues. People found him through Facebook recommendations, Nextdoor posts, word of mouth. The cheap repair guy who met you in parking lots and actually fixed things right. The problem was simple. There were only so many hours in a day, and Marcus was running out of them. He started doing repairs during his lunch breaks at Tech World, sneaking out to his car where he kept his toolkit. 15-minute jobs became routine. 30-minute repairs got squeezed into extended bathroom breaks that Kevin definitely noticed but had not called him out on yet. The money was real now. In 8 weeks, Marcus had saved $1,400. He had paid off one credit card completely. His car insurance was current. He had stopped choosing between gas and groceries, but he was also falling asleep at the register. Twice, Kevin had to shake his shoulder to wake him. The bags under his eyes had bags. His hands trembled from exhaustion. Something had to give. The decision arrived on a Tuesday, packaged as a middle-aged man named Richard Chen, who owned a cell phone repair shop in Little Haiti. Richard had found Marcus through the Facebook recommendations. He called during Marcus's shift, which Marcus almost did not answer. "Hello? Is this Marcus Whitmore, the repair guy?" "Yeah, that's me." "My name is Richard Chen. I own Tech Haven on Northeast 2nd Avenue. I have been hearing your name a lot lately." Marcus's stomach tightened. Was this about to become a turf war? Some speech about stealing customers? "Listen, I am not trying to—" "Relax," Richard laughed. "I am not mad. I'm impressed. You are fixing phones in parking lots and people trust you more than my actual shop. That takes skill and hustle. I want to offer you something." "Offer me what?" "A job. Real shop, real equipment, better pay than wherever you're working now. You handle repairs, I handle the business side. 50-50 split on profits after costs. You interested?" Marcus looked around Tech World. Kevin was berating a new employee about something. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. The smell of recycled air and desperation hung like fog. "I have a job," Marcus said carefully. "Do you love it?" The question hit harder than it should have. Love was not the word. Tolerate, endure, survive through. But love, can I think about it? Take your time, but Marcus, people with your skills do not belong in parking lots. Come see the shop. No commitment, just look. That evening, Marcus drove to Tech Haven. The shop was small but clean, wedged between a Dominican restaurant and a beauty supply store. Through the window, he saw workbenches, proper lighting, organized tools, everything he cobbled together in his apartment, but professional. Richard was waiting inside, a man in his 50s with graying hair and kind eyes behind wireframe glasses. "You came," Richard said, smiling. "Good. Let me show you around." The shop was everything Marcus had dreamed of without knowing he was dreaming. Proper workstations, microscopes for circuit board repair, a parts inventory organized by manufacturer, even a small waiting area with coffee and magazines. "You built this yourself?" Marcus asked. 20 years ago. Started just like you, fixing things in my apartment. Eventually saved enough to open this place, did well for years, but lately," Richard gestured around, "competition from the big stores, online repairs, kids with YouTube channels. I need someone who knows the work and cares about quality, someone hungry. Why not hire a young tech, someone with certifications? Because certifications do not mean hustle. I have had 3 techs in 2 years. They wanted steady paychecks and easy hours. This business needs someone who understands what it means to fight for every dollar, someone who has been broken and learned how to fix themselves." Marcus looked at the workbenches, imagining himself here instead of in his apartment. Actual hours, benefits maybe, a real business card instead of meeting strangers in McDonald's parking lots. "What's the catch?" Richard laughed. "You are smart. The catch is the shop barely breaks even right now. I'm not going to lie to you. Some months are good, some are terrible. You would be gambling on us building it back up together. The security of your current job versus the possibility of something more." Security. Marcus almost laughed. There was no security at Tech World. Just a paycheck that barely covered bills and a boss who treated him like furniture. "Can I sleep on it?" "Of course, but Marcus, whatever you are running from, you cannot do it forever. Eventually you have to run towards something." That night, Marcus sat at his kitchen table with a legal pad, drawing 2 columns. On the left, keep Tech World. On the right, join Richard. Tech World offered steady paycheck, health insurance, predictable schedule, low risk. Tech Haven offered potential for more money, learning real skills, actual future, high risk. The smart choice was obvious. Keep the day job, keep doing repairs on the side, build slowly. Do not gamble everything on a shop that barely breaks even with a guy he just met. But Marcus was tired of smart choices. Smart choices had gotten him divorced, broke, and humiliated in front of his son. His phone buzzed. "Tyler. Hey, Dad, my science fair is next Thursday at 6. Can you come? I'm doing my project on solar power. Thursday at 6 p.m. Marcus's shift at Tech World did not end until 7. Kevin never let anyone leave early without 3 weeks' notice and a doctor's note. Marcus stared at the text. How many things had he missed because of Tech World? How many school events, games, moments that Tyler would remember or, worse, stop inviting him to? He picked up his phone and called Richard. "Hello? It's Marcus. I am in. When do I start?" Richard was quiet for a moment. "You sure? This is a big decision. I have been making small decisions my whole life. Time for a big one. All right then. How about Monday?" Marcus hung up and immediately called Tech World's night manager. His hands shook as he waited. "Tech World Electronics, this is Sharon." "Sharon, it's Marcus Whitmore. I need to give my 2 weeks' notice." The words felt unreal leaving his mouth. 15 years at Tech World and various retail jobs before that. His whole adult life spent behind registers, smiling at people who forgot him instantly. "Oh, okay. I will let Kevin know. Can I ask why?" "I found something better." "Good for you, Marcus. You deserve it." Did he? Marcus was not sure, but he was going to find out. The next morning at Tech World, Kevin pulled him aside. "So you are bailing?" "I gave 2 weeks. I will train whoever replaces me." Kevin snorted. "Nobody is going to replace you. We will just have one less person and everyone else will work harder. That's how this place works." "Then maybe this place should work better." Kevin's eyes widened. In 15 years, Marcus had never talked back, had swallowed every condescending comment, every unreasonable demand, every reminder that he was replaceable. "Excuse me?" "You heard me. I have spent 15 years being told I am lucky to have this job. I am done being lucky. I'm going to try being good at something instead." Marcus walked back to the floor, his heart pounding but his shoulders straighter than they had been in years. Kevin did not follow. That evening, Marcus texted Tyler, "I will definitely be at your science fair. Would not miss it." 3 dots appeared, then, "Really? That's awesome, thank you, Dad." Marcus set his phone down and looked around his apartment. The makeshift repair station on his kitchen table, the toolkit that had become his most valuable possession, the notebook tracking every repair, every dollar earned. He was 47 years old, and he had just quit the only steady job he had. He was betting everything on a failing repair shop and a man he barely knew. Financial advisors would call him insane. Jennifer would definitely call him insane when the child support checks came from a new, uncertain source. But for the first time in years, Marcus felt something other than trapped. He felt terrified, which was better than feeling nothing at all. Outside, Miami hummed its usual symphony. Inside apartment 3C, Marcus Whitmore packed up his makeshift workshop and prepared to become something new, or fail spectacularly trying. Either way, Tyler would see him at that science fair, and that alone made the gamble worth it. Marcus's first day at Tech Haven started with a disaster disguised as a customer. A woman stormed in at 9:03 a.m. holding an iPhone, like it had personally insulted her family. Marcus was still figuring out where Richard kept the screen protectors. "I was here 2 weeks ago," she announced to the universe. "Your guy said it was fixed. It is not fixed." Richard emerged from the back office, recognition and resignation crossing his face. "Mrs. Patterson, I see the phone is still having issues." "Issues? Issues? It shuts off every 5 minutes. I paid you $150. Richard looked at Marcus. "This was Danny's repair, my last tech. He said he replaced the battery." Marcus took the phone, opened the diagnostic app he had learned to use from YouTube videos. 5 seconds later, he saw the problem. The battery was new, but installed incorrectly, pressing against the logic board and causing random shutdowns. "I can fix this right now," Marcus said. "No charge." "Give me 15 minutes. Mrs. Patterson crossed her arms. "I have heard that before." "I understand, but I am not Danny. Watch if you want." He did not wait for permission. At his new workstation, Marcus opened the iPhone with practiced efficiency. He had done this repair dozens of times in parking lots. Having proper tools and lighting made it almost easy. 12 minutes later, he handed back the phone. "Try it now." Mrs. Patterson poked at it suspiciously. "Opened apps. Let it sit." Checked again. Finally, grudgingly, "It is working. If it acts up again, come back. We will make it right." She left without thanking them, but she left without the phone either. Marcus counted that as a win. Richard clapped him on the shoulder. "Nice work." Danny would have argued with her for 20 minutes, then done a half job. "You just saved us a 1-star review." Speaking of Danny, what happened to him? Richard's smile faded. He stopped showing up. Found easier work somewhere. Story of my life lately. The morning revealed the depth of Tech Haven's problems. The shop had a reputation problem, thanks to techs like Danny. The parts inventory was disorganized. The computer system for tracking repairs was from 2012. Half the equipment needed maintenance. But customers came. Not many, but steady. An iPad with a broken screen. A Samsung with charging issues. A laptop that needed a hard drive replacement. Marcus worked through them efficiently, his parking lot education translating perfectly to the shop environment. By lunch, Richard looked impressed. "You work fast." "I have had practice. How many repairs do we usually get daily?" "Lately? Maybe 5 or 6. We need 10 to break even, 15 to actually make money." Marcus did the math in his head. At current rates, even with 50-50 split, he would make less than Tech World. Maybe. If they stayed at 6 repairs a day, definitely less. He had gambled his stable paycheck on maybe. That evening, Marcus made it to Tyler's science fair with 20 minutes to spare. His son's face lit up when he walked in. "Dad, you came!" "Told you I would. Show me this solar power project." Tyler's presentation was enthusiastic if scientifically questionable. He had built a model house with solar panels, made from things Marcus vaguely recognized from around Jennifer's house. The judges seemed charmed more than impressed. "Think I will win?" Tyler asked hopefully. "You are already winning, buddy. You built something. That is what matters." After the fair, Tyler asked the question Marcus had been dreading. "So you quit your job? How did you know?" "Mom told me." She said you are taking a big risk. Tyler looked worried. Are we going to be okay? Marcus knelt down, eye level with his son. I took a risk because I want to be more than okay. I want to be there for your science fairs and your games and all the stuff I have been missing. Yeah, it is scary, but you know what is scarier. Staying stuck forever. Tyler hugged him tight. I believe in you, Dad. Those 5 words carried Marcus through the next 2 weeks. Tech Haven's reality was harder than he expected. Some days brought 10 repairs, others brought 3. The 50-50 split meant Marcus's income swung wildly. He had to learn business accounting, inventory management, customer service at a different level. Richard helped, but Richard was also struggling with his own doubts. I have been thinking about closing, Richard admitted one slow afternoon. Maybe selling the equipment, cutting my losses. Do not, Marcus said. Not yet. Why not? You have been here 3 weeks. You see how it is. I also see how it could be. We need better marketing, social media. Maybe a website that does not look like it is from 1999. Richard laughed. You know how to do that? No. But I can learn. I learned how to fix iPhones from YouTube. How hard can a website be? The answer was, very hard. But Marcus stayed up late anyway, teaching himself basic web design. He created a Facebook business page, started posting before and after photos of repairs. He encouraged satisfied customers to leave reviews. Slowly, microscopically, things improved. 7 repairs became 8. 8 became 9. Still not enough, but trending right. Then 4 weeks in, everything changed. A man walked in, carrying a garbage bag full of broken phones. 20 of them. My company is upgrading our phones, he explained. These are the old ones. Can you buy them? Marcus looked at Richard. Richard looked at Marcus. We are not really a wholesaler, Richard started. How much? Marcus interrupted. Make me an offer. They are all broken. Cracked screens, battery issues, whatever. I just need them gone. Marcus's mind raced. 20 phones. If he could fix them for an average of $30 each in parts, sell them for $150 refurbished, that was $2,400 in potential profit. Split with Richard, $1,200 each. But parts cost $600. They had maybe $400 in the business account. Give us a minute, Marcus said. In the back office, Richard shook his head. We do not have the capital for this. I do. Marcus pulled out his phone, checked his balance, $1,400. Every penny he had saved, his safety net, his emergency fund, his proof that he was climbing out of the hole. Marcus, no. That is your money. This is an investment. In us. In the shop. He took a breath. I believe in this. Do you? Richard looked at him for a long moment. You are either brave or crazy. Maybe both. But I am not letting this opportunity walk out the door. They bought the phones for $300. Marcus spent the weekend in the shop, working 16-hour days fixing screen after screen. His hands cramped, his back screamed, his eyes blurred. But by Monday he had 18 phones fully functional. 2 were beyond repair, but 18 was enough. They listed them online, on Facebook Marketplace, on Craigslist, everywhere, priced competitively but fairly. Then they waited. Tuesday morning, Marcus's $1,400 nest egg was gone. He had $500 in parts inventory as phones and $400 in cash from the business account. If the phones did not sell, he was more broke than when he started. Jennifer called that afternoon. Child support is due Friday. I know. Marcus, are you going to make it? I will make it. He had to, because the alternative meant admitting he had gambled everything and lost. Meant going back to retail, if anyone would hire a 47-year-old who quit his last job. Meant looking Tyler in the eye and explaining that Dad's big risk was just another failure. Wednesday morning, the first phone sold, then another. By Friday, they had sold 12. Marcus made the child support payment with $60 to spare. Saturday, 5 more phones sold. By the following Tuesday, all 18 were gone. Total revenue, $2,700. After the $300 purchase price and $600 in parts, they cleared $1,800. Split with Richard, $900 each. Marcus had gone from $1,400 to $1,300. He had lost $100. But Tech Haven had made enough to pay rent for the month with some left over, And Marcus had learned something crucial. He could handle the big swings, the risks, the gambles that made his stomach hurt and his sleep disappear. He could handle being terrified if it meant moving forward. That evening, Marcus sat in the shop after closing, looking at the workbenches that had become his second home. His phone buzzed. "Tyler, can we go to the beach this weekend? Just us?" Marcus smiled and typed back, "Absolutely. South Beach or Bill Baggs?" "Bill Baggs. We can rent bikes." Bike rentals cost money. Money Marcus barely had again, but he was learning that some things were worth being broke for. Like seeing his son happy. Like building something real. Like proving that 47 was not too late to become someone new. 6 months after Marcus Whitmore quit Tech World, he stood in Tech Haven on a rainy Miami afternoon, teaching a 17-year-old named Carlos how to replace an iPhone battery. "See how the adhesive strips pull? Slow and steady. You rush it, it breaks. Then you are scraping for 20 minutes. Carlos nodded, his hands steadier than Marcus's had been at the beginning. The kid reminded Marcus of himself, hungry and willing to learn. Richard had hired him part-time when business picked up enough to need help, because business had picked up. Not overnight, not dramatically, but consistently, inexorably, like water wearing down stone. The Facebook page Marcus built now had 800 followers. The reviews averaged 4.7 stars. The website he taught himself to make looked almost professional. They got 15 repairs daily now, sometimes 20. Richard had stopped talking about closing. More importantly, Richard had started talking about expansion. "There is a space in Wynwood," Richard had mentioned last week. "Bigger, better location. We could do phone repairs and laptop repairs, maybe even build custom gaming PCs. "That is a lot of money," Marcus had said. "That is a lot of opportunity. Think about it." Marcus thought about little else. Wynwood meant tourists, art lovers, people with money who broke expensive devices. It also meant higher rent, more employees, bigger risk. At 47 and a half, Marcus was becoming comfortable with risk. His phone buzzed. "Tyler, Dad, can you pick me up from practice? Mom's car died." Marcus smiled. Jennifer's Tesla-driving boyfriend, Robert, had apparently not solved all her problems. Be there in 20. He left Carlos closing up the shop, another sign of progress, trust, and drove to Tyler's school. His Civic had 198,000 miles now, but still ran. Marcus had learned to fix enough things that keeping it alive was cheaper than buying new. Tyler climbed in, sweaty from soccer practice, grinning. At 13 now, he was taller, his voice cracking at random moments that made them both laugh. "Thanks for getting me. Robert is out of town and Mom was freaking out." "No problem. Hungry?" "Always." They stopped at a Colombian place on Calle Ocho, the kind with plastic tables and food that tasted like someone's grandmother made it. Marcus ordered without checking his bank account first. That still felt like magic. "So Mom said you might open a new store?" Tyler asked between bites of empanada. "Maybe. It is complicated." "Is it scary?" Marcus thought about it. 6 months ago, everything was scary. Now? Yeah, but good scary. Like roller coaster scary, not falling off a cliff scary. Tyler laughed. "That is weirdly specific. I have had time to think about fear. Turns out there are different kinds." Marcus took a drink. "How is school?" "Good, I am doing this coding class, building a website for my final project." Marcus's chest tightened with something that felt dangerously close to pride. "You are building a website?" "Yeah, you inspired me. You taught yourself all that computer stuff. I figured if you could learn it at your age—" Tyler caught himself. "I mean, at my ancient age." Marcus grinned. "It is okay, I am old, but I am not done learning." They finished eating, and Marcus drove Tyler home. Jennifer met them at the door, looking stressed but grateful. "Thank you, Marcus, I know it is not your day." "It is fine. Tyler is always my day." She smiled. A real one. They had made peace over the months, not quite friends, but no longer enemies. Turns out people could change more than their circumstances. Back at his apartment, Marcus sat at his kitchen table, not the same table covered in bills and despair. He had upgraded to a real desk, separated work from living space. The apartment was still small, still in Little Havana, but it felt less like a prison now. His notebook sat open, the one where he tracked everything. 6 months ago, $100 to $400 saved, drowning in debt, terrified every day. Today, $4,200 in savings. 2 credit cards paid off, 3 to go. Current on every bill, even put $50 monthly into a college fund for Tyler, laughably small but growing. He was not rich, was not even comfortable by most standards. But he was moving in the right direction, and direction mattered more than speed. His phone rang. Richard. Marcus, remember that Winwood space? Yeah? The owner wants to meet us. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. You in? Marcus looked around his apartment. At the desk where he had learned web design from YouTube at 2 a.m. At the toolkit that had changed his life. At the photo of Tyler on his phone's lock screen, taken at Bill Baggs Beach, both of them grinning like idiots after falling off rental bikes. Yeah, Marcus said. I am in. The next morning, Marcus and Richard met the landlord at a space on Northwest 2nd Avenue, right in the heart of Winwood's Arts District. The location was perfect. Foot traffic from galleries, young professionals, tourists with expensive devices they dropped taking selfies with street art. The space was 3 times bigger than Tech Haven. The rent was terrifying. We would need to triple revenue, Marcus said as they walked out. Or double revenue and add services, Richard countered. Computer repairs, custom builds, maybe even a small retail section for accessories. That is a lot of investment. That is a lot of opportunity. Richard looked at him. 6 months ago, you walked into my shop and I saw someone desperate enough to try anything. Now I see someone who knows what he is capable of. Which Marcus am I talking to? Marcus thought about that moment in Bayside Marketplace. The declined card. Tyler's worried face. The shattering feeling of complete failure. He thought about every late night, every cramped hand, every repair that taught him something new. The second one, Marcus said. Definitely the second one. They signed the lease 2 weeks later. Marcus contributed half the deposit, $2,000 that emptied his savings but felt right anyway. Tech Haven Winwood would open in 3 months. 3 months to build out the space, hire staff, market the location. 3 months of terror and possibility. Tyler came to the empty space on a Saturday, looking around with wide eyes. This is huge, Dad. Yeah, pretty crazy, right? Pretty awesome. Tyler turned to him. Dad, can I ask you something? Anything? That day at Bayside when your card got declined, did you know things would get better? Marcus sat on a windowsill, gesturing for Tyler to join him. Outside, people walked by, examining murals and taking photos. Life happening at full volume. Honestly? No, I thought I was stuck forever. That moment broke something in me, but it also woke me up. Sometimes you need to hit bottom before you remember you know how to climb. I was worried about you. I know. I am sorry you had to worry. I am not. It made me see that you are tough, like really tough. When I have hard stuff, I think about you fixing phones at midnight, and I figure I can handle whatever. Marcus pulled Tyler close, this almost teenager who should not have to be that perceptive but was anyway. You know what is funny? I think about you too. Every time I want to quit, I remember you watching me. I do not want you to see me give up. You never will. I know that now. 3 months later, Tech Haven Winwood opened, not with fireworks, but with a steady stream of customers who found them through reputation, reviews, and word of mouth. Carlos transferred over, bringing his younger sister who wanted to learn repairs. Richard hired 2 more techs. Marcus handled the complex repairs and trained staff. The first month broke even. The second turned a small profit. By the third, they were averaging 30 repairs daily between both locations. Marcus's cut was not huge, but it was real. Enough to move to a 1-bedroom apartment, enough to take Tyler to nice dinners sometimes, enough to sleep without calculations running through his head. One Saturday, Marcus took Tyler to Bayside Marketplace. They had not been back since the incident. Want to check out Game Zone? Marcus asked. Tyler looked at him, understanding. You sure? Yeah. Time to replace a bad memory with a better one. They went in. Tyler picked out a new game, $60. At the register, Marcus pulled out his debit card, the same one that had been declined. He swiped it. The terminal beeped. Approved. Such a small word, such an enormous feeling. Tyler got his game. They walked along the waterfront, eating ice cream, talking about nothing important. Normal father-son stuff that Marcus had learned to treasure. "Dad," Tyler said as they watched boats in the marina, "are you happy now?" Marcus thought about it, really thought. He was not rich, still had debt, still worked long hours. His back still hurt. His hands were still scarred from repairs, and he worried about money every single month. But he had Tyler's respect, Richard's partnership, Carlos and his sister looking to him for guidance, a business that was growing, a future that was uncertain but possible. "Yeah," Marcus said, "I think I am. Not because everything is perfect, but because I'm not stuck anymore. I am moving. That is good. You deserve to be happy, Dad." There it was again. Deserve. Marcus still was not sure he deserved anything, but he was learning that deserve mattered less than decide. He had decided to try, had decided to fight, had decided that 47 was not too late. That evening, Marcus stood in Tech Haven Wynwood after closing, looking at the space they had built. Tomorrow would bring new repairs, new challenges, new problems to solve. But that was okay. He had learned he was good at fixing things, including himself. His phone showed a photo of him and Tyler from today, ice cream cones in hand, grinning at Bayside. Marcus set it as his new lock screen, replacing the old beach photo. Some memories needed updating. Marcus Whitmore was 48 now, owner of 2 repair shops, father to a teenager who believed in him, partner to a man who had taken a chance on a desperate guy from a parking lot. He was not where he wanted to be yet, but he was so far from where he had been. And the distance between those two places was measured in declined cards, midnight repairs, impossible gambles, and the stubborn refusal to accept that broken meant finished. Marcus turned off the lights and locked the door. Tomorrow would come with its own struggles. But tonight, driving home through Miami's chaotic streets, Marcus allowed himself something he had not felt in years. Peace. Not the peace of having arrived, but the peace of knowing he was on his way. And sometimes that was enough. Sometimes that was everything.